I've been chasing sunbirds on several different accounts over the last week. Unfortunately, there has been quite a bit of rainfall, and that's made the entire process ridiculously challenging. But when I least expected it, one of them perched itself exactly where I wanted it. The frozen drops of rain made that moment all the more incredible. Stay tuned for the story behind the photograph. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new around here, make sure to hit the subscribe button. In my last video, I said I was going to photograph the Purple Rumped Sunbird. And I'm not going to lie, it was a slightly bold promise, but most importantly, it was the one thing that set the wheel of motivation in motion. It's been over 3 weeks since I first began coming up here for bird photography. And some of these birds have finally begun to get a little more comfortable with my presence. I literally cannot tell you how amazing that feeling is. The Coppersmith Barbets were out and about, and they'd sometimes come even closer as if to check what I was doing. The front portion of this African tulip tree is where I want the Purple Rumped Sunbird to perch itself. And from this angle, that tree in the background is going to ensure that no other buildings will be visible. At the end of the day, I don't want any nature photograph of mine to have the slightest bit of concrete, unless maybe the story demands it. On my first attempt, there was absolutely no sighting of the sunbird. I decided to stay a little bit longer and keep my eyes out for any signs of movement. I was hopeful that my luck would change over the course of the morning, but that never happened. This short clip shows you just how fast, erratic, and unpredictable small birds can be. They are difficult to keep an eye on, and you can only imagine what it's like to track them with a heavy lens that's almost 2 feet long. The weather eventually began to worsen, and I had to head back home for shelter. I revisited the rooftop later that evening when the rain had briefly stopped, and as usual, the waiting game continued. I finally saw some sunbirds moving about on the tree at the back, but that was too far to make an appealing photograph, so I recorded the moment on video. About an hour into my second attempt, something in the nearby branches caught my attention. Not the sunbird that I wanted, but it was definitely a form of consolation. This Indian palm squirrel was nibbling on a branch and consuming the sodium within. Tree bark can be a surprising source of sugars, minerals, and vitamins. I noticed something move a few yards away. A female purple rumped sunbird finally showed up. She had a bit of nectar and then positioned herself in my direction, but only for a few seconds. Fortunately, there were no branches in the middle and I had a clear shot. Over the next few days, I managed to catch a couple of glimpses of the colorful male, but there were no photographic opportunities at all. They were either too far or perched on a wire, or there was a building in the background, or there was a branch right in front of it. I was literally almost going to give up, but then the next morning a male sunbird showed up exactly where I wanted it. It was a little before 7 a.m, it was raining, and there was hardly any light. But this was my closest sighting yet, and I wasn't going to let that slip. This habitat shot of the male purple rumped sunbird with the raindrops frozen in time was photographed within the first 5 minutes of my going upstairs. In this second capture, you can prominently see its iridescent colors on its crown and collar. The lighting was so dull that I had to shoot at a high ISO of 12,800. Now that rendered an extremely noisy image, but I guess there are those exceptions here and there where the photograph is all about the moment and image quality can take the back seat as long as other aesthetics are maintained. My hunt for the Purple Rumped Sunbird may have been a fruitful one, but it is still incomplete. For part 2, I'm going to try and get even closer to it and capture as much of its colors and fine details. Sounds impossible when you consider Mumbai's monsoons and the fact that this subject is almost half the size of a smartphone. There's something extremely fascinating about a good challenge, and it doesn't matter if you win or you don't, it's all about the chase and just how exhilarating that can be. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. Your support is going to help me build this channel and community and take it a long, long way. See you in the next one.